All right, one more video on how my thinking leads to eating. So I want to talk to you about something about your goal weight. I see this as being a real point of contention. We have a huge maintainers group in our community, and I see the intake forms, and a lot of times people say, I'm not sure if I'm at my maintenance weight. I'm not sure if this should be my goal weight. There's a lot of uncertainty around that. And I want to talk a little bit about Dr. Amy Johnson's book, Just a Thought. I recommended it, I think it was in video number 4. It's a great book. But one of the things she talks about that a mind does is it never is good enough. Whatever you've accomplished is never good enough. So your lower brain, again, wants to keep you safe, not dying, make sure you're good for a mate, make sure you're not getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. It has a very primitive drive, okay? And what it's always looking for is comparing you to other people, making sure that you're at a place of maybe like outranking others, right? It's constantly striving for better. So this is why when I take on a coaching client, I spend quite a bit of time finding out what their 3-month goals are. I write them down because within 3 months, let's just say we've accomplished the goals. What I will start to notice is they have no clue that they've accomplished the goals. And then when they do realize they accomplished the goals, mentally in their mind, they've already started to feel slightly discouraged because they're not at some other place. Here's a good example. I had a client come to me, and when I took her intake form, she was binging almost daily. And she wanted to just stop binge eating. So on her intake, when we first talked, I wrote down, okay, she's binging almost every day, wants to stop binging. She never, ever mentioned weight loss in that entire conversation. She was very upset about her binge eating. That was her point of pain. That was what was causing her issues. She never said, and I want to lose weight. This is why it's important. So we got her binging down to just like once or twice a month, a huge drastic decrease from where she was. And what happened was, as we were approaching our 3rd month and this huge improvement, I started hearing a little bit of a change in her demeanor in our calls. She seemed a little like, not very excited, not very happy about this idea of her not binging. Didn't seem all that important like it did at the beginning. And I said, are you okay? I don't hear like a level of excitement, like you're not binging. This is huge. She's like, yeah, but I thought I would have lost more weight by now. And I said, but you never mentioned weight loss. I went back to my notes. I read her what she said. She starts laughing. She's like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that I didn't put that in there. She says, I was so desperate when I came to you. I wanted to get my binge eating under control, but then as that started to happen, that became less important to me. And then all of a sudden I started feeling this desire or this I should be losing weight, even though I never declared that as a goal. And this is what I see over and over again. As a woman starts to improve or a human starts to improve on anything, that becomes not good enough. Now they should be here. It's like when you're approaching what you claim to be your goal weight, what you thought you wanted your goal weight to be, and you maybe look at your body and you still don't feel enough. You then say, okay, well, maybe if I lost another 10 pounds, maybe this shouldn't be my goal weight. But as you read the Just a Thought book, what you'll start to see is no matter what the goal is, no matter if it's financial, job related, body weight related, whenever you start to approach the quote unquote someday finish line, your lower brain is going to push it out. It's not going to say that's good enough. It's going to say you should do more. You should run more. You should have more financial success. You should be further ahead in your business. You should be losing more weight. Yes, you got your binge eating under control, but look at how much you weigh now. You need to do something about this. It's always striving for more and more and more. And I had this as a personal, I personally experienced this firsthand, so I know it's true. I've crossed many finish lines. I've done many things I never thought I would ever accomplish. But the internal feeling that I thought would accompany that, losing 170 pounds, paying off an extreme amount of debt, $180,000 in debt, paying off a house, none of it actually felt any different than I did the day before. So it was always like, well, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And I kind of realized I have to make that call. Like my higher brain has to make that call. I have to say I'm okay, because my lower brain will never let off the gas pedal. It's always going to push Heather to think she has to do more. And that will never lead to a feeling of contentment. So this idea of goal weight, of finding a place to settle in, that's why I talk about the man-made versus naturally occurring goal weight. Because no matter what you weigh, I don't care what it is, there will always be that part of you that will say, not enough, do more, do more. You're gonna have to realize that no matter how much you do, no matter how far you go, it will always be there. And again, it's gonna focus on the areas that are probably more sensitive to you, not the things you don't care about. Like if you don't really care about becoming a professional skier, it's not because, hey, oh, you should be doing more, you should be teaching lessons, because you don't care about that. It's gonna be around the things that are more tender areas for you. Weight probably is one of them, and it's always gonna push you. So when we think about why do maintainers struggle, right? Like why does someone who's lost all this weight struggle? It's because they've gotten to the someday place. They don't feel the feelings they think they probably should or would feel. And they got the lower brain saying, but let's do more, let's do more. And they don't know what else to do, right? They've done it all, they're there. And yet they're not feeling it. And then there's this push to do more and do more. And they sometimes don't realize that's their lower brain pushing them. And then sometimes they might even self-sabotage. They might gain weight back, trying to pursue more and more weight loss, because that becomes a fixated point. And then they have to lose it again, right? So it's kind of, it's an unfortunate reality, but we have to become savvy as to how our thinking works. So like I said, if you read the book Just a Thought by Dr. Amy Johnson, there is a part in there about how your brain will never say you are good enough. You are never done. You will never feel like the someday has happened, because it ultimately will always push the goal just a little further. It's up to you to say, and I wrote this down for myself. I said, okay, my prefrontal cortex, what is it that I feel is success? Based on my definition of success, I had to say it to myself every single day, so that way I wouldn't lose sight of what I deemed as success, not my lower brain. I did, because when I let it run the show, I constantly felt like I was struggling. I felt like I was trying to get further and further and further. And I kept realizing every time I got there, I didn't feel any different than I did before. And so it was like a farce, right? I'm chasing after something that doesn't exist. So just want to encourage you to think about goal weight should be based on the amount of work you're willing to put in with your food, with your fitness, and where you're willing to go long term. And then that's a great weight for you. You don't have to strive for a number, because even if you achieve that number, now your lower brain's gonna say it's not enough. Now you should be doing something else. What else should you be doing? How else can you make it better? And there's this perpetual drive to do more. How does this lead to eating? Because you feel super frustrated and you're never gonna be quote unquote good enough. It's always a feel of lack, always a feel of less than. So I just want to encourage you to think a little differently about it. Pay attention, see if it's true for you. I know, and the funny thing is, so many people constantly stay in that cycle of never getting to their goal. So they always really believe if they get there, it will happen for them. They will feel the feelings. They will be good enough. But because I've actually crossed the finish line on multiple goals, and I've had the experience of being quote unquote done busting through the tape, having that experience, I am telling you, it's true. It's true even then. So even if you get to the goal, there will be another thing your lower brain tells you to do. I hope these videos are helping. You guys like and subscribe, share them, and I will talk to you soon.